Big alert, big alert. Version 1 has made it into the Rlcs by beating Vibrance. Both of those teams on 2 wins, trying to make it through Version 1, do it, and in extremely close fashion. Version 1, again, are one of those teams that people were expecting. Version 1 was one of those teams that people were expecting to make it through, but they had a very iffy performance in the beginning of the Rlcs qualifiers, and finally, they make it in there. They bring Vibrance to a Game 4, upset Vibrance, who was on an extremely hot streak, and put them straight in to the Rlcs Fall Regional, the Fall Regional 1 for the fall split. As big as that. So the teams that made it in to the Rlcs Fall Regional, barely by a thread, Susquehanna Sonics, again, hanging on by a thread, Version 1. Rogue, surprisingly. Integrity Esports, Charlotte Phoenix, hanging on by a thread, making it in. Team DVS, True Neutral, who was expected to make it in through the original Day 1 Swiss, but had to come to this Day 3 to finally put themselves through. Exit makes it in. United they did not make it through. It was very, very surprising coming to Day 3 of the Swiss, and they just could not close it out. United again, they were first place. There was 7 wins and 3 losses. But at the last second, they got upset by Rogue, who 3-0'd them. And officially by that, somehow, some way, T-Bates and his crew are not going to be in the Rlcs for the Fall Regional. And again, United is one of those teams that people are kind of mad about the seeding with. Pittsburgh Knights, also some very crazy things about that. Pittsburgh Knights are also eliminated from the Rlcs Fall Regional, Fall Regional 1. So that is absolutely crazy if you think about it. But going into winter, it's going to be extremely hard. Again, a lot of these teams, and with these alerts coming in as well, it shows how close this North American region is. And I personally think it is the most competitive region in all of Rlcs. Again, with the top 5 spots being the most crucial, there are 12 teams that can potentially compete and get in to the top 5 spots, with the top 3 possibly being removed from those top 5 spots. Again, with the addition with FaZe, it's going to make the fight so much harder, and for a lot of the more bottom teams, so much more pain to see that First Killer and company. Okay, again, FaZe, to remind you guys, FaZe are the number 2 seed heading into the Rlcs, I believe. They are behind NRG and with an undefeated record. Envy are number 3, G2 are number 4. Space Station losing questionably to Shopify, and Envy also losing to Shopify, shows you how good Shopify can be, although Shopify are the 8th seed coming in. That is also, again, unofficial because they do have to do the seedings. I don't know if the seeding tournaments already happened or this is the seeding tournament. That's something that we're going to have to clarify on in the future. But for now, version 1, make it into the Rlcs by a thread. United are out. Vibrance gets eliminated by version 1 when people thought that they just might bring heavy competition to the RLCS, of course, with those off-season tournaments. But it's not going to happen. True Neutral get through. They had to go to day 3, but they finally get through. And a lot of other phenomenal teams like Torrent get through. G2 get through. A lot of these big name teams get through, but a lot of these big name teams are eliminated, like Nefarious, Oxygen, and Nefarious Oxygen and the Pittsburgh Knights and the Kansas City Pioneers. So that's going to be very big. 4 big name teams eliminated, but a lot of teams that people expected to get through. But then again, it's only the first regional, but again, it's going to be so crucial. Like, say if the Pittsburgh Knights come in, do not make it to the fall regional, which they do not, and they come in regional 2 and 3, and other teams perform as good, and they're just peaking and doing phenomenal, but all these other teams are doing just as good. That means that them competing for a LAN spot might not make it into the top 8 because there is so much heavy competition and teams that are at the top of their peak, and especially with the way that this Swiss system format bracket is going to be working, it's going to be very, very hard for the other teams to come in regional 2 and 3 and then try and compete for a spot to go to the LAN major if you're not already in it. So it's going to be very interesting to see for the North American teams. But then again, my name is Anotita from Ano's Gaming Spot. Go check out my podcast, RLCS Talk with Ano Gaming on Spreaker, Spotify, Podcast Addicts, and we're adding it to Apple Podcasts very soon. But for now, my name is Anotita from Ano's Gaming Spot.